Rockin' with the hot pink hair again. I'm super excited. I just dyed it last night. So, hey guys, it's Kyla. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is, of course, the monthly wrap-up. We're gonna go over every single book that I read in April. I'm super excited for this video because I read a lot of good books in April. So, we're just gonna dive right on into it. I think I'm gonna do all my physical copies first, and then I'm gonna talk about my Kindle. I know last month I kind of did it like chronologically, but I personally think it's better for me to do it physical copies and then Kindle copies. So, yeah. And let's just start it on with the video. So the first book that I started off the month with was, of course, because of Bridgerton. The second season of Bridgerton came out, so I decided that I wanted to start reading the whole entire series of Bridgerton. I was gonna like start reading it, so I read the first book, which is Bridgerton, the Duke and I. So in this one we have Daphne and Simon. Like, the show follows the books pretty well, not exact, but it follows it pretty well, I thought. So I really honestly appreciated that because like I felt like I could visualize it and that while I was reading it. But this book was so freaking good. I did give this book a 4 out of 5. I thought it was lacking in some areas. I wish that we got more of a connection, but it was still really good for it being like the first book of this series, so I was not upset about it. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So the next book that I read was The Legacy. It is the 5th and final book of the off-campus series. I give it a 3 out of 5. I thought it was mediocre. I didn't think it was awful like a lot of people said, but I definitely did not think it was like great. It's tiny, like it's tiny as the other ones, and for an epilogue book I've kind of thought it would be a little bit longer. I thought we would get like more emotion. I thought we would get a lot more interaction between all the characters, and it was just mediocre. Like, it wasn't great. The next physical copy book that I read was Bridgerton, The Viscount Who Loved Me. Of course, this is season 2 of the Netflix show Bridgerton, and I decided to read it. I wasn't gonna read it at first, and then I was like, you know what? I am gonna read it because I want to form my own opinion on it. So I bought it, I read it. I gave this a 5 out of 5. It was great. It was amazing. Anthony, it's so freaking rude at the beginning. Like, seriously, if you thought he was rude in the show, he's so much worse in the book. But kind of like a halfway, you know, they had their connection and I fell in love. I want to go back and tab the book because I highlighted a bunch of stuff, but I didn't tab it. I just didn't have my tabs on me while I was reading this book, but I want to go back and tab it so freaking bad. There's this one chapter, I think it's chapter 13 in this book. Love it. Love it. It's literally, oh my gosh, so beautiful. This book was so good. Kate and Anthony, they had a connection in the show for sure, but like just reading it, it was just that much better. Like, enemies to lovers. She's the sister that he falls in love with, is not supposed to. Oh my gosh, so freaking good. I loved it. Yeah, the quotes in here, amazing. This book, amazing. I will be reading the next one, and I'm so excited because it's like a retelling of Cinderella. Stop. And then the second to last physical copy that I read this month was Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. I gave this a 4 out of 5. Honestly, going back and thinking about like the fine print and then going back and reading some of it, I was like, you know what? I did not like that book. I didn't love it, but I didn't really like it. This one was actually so good. Iris and Declan's story was so much better than the fine print. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really don't think that Lauren Asher's writing is for me. I will be reading the 3rd book in this series just because Cal is my favorite brother, but I did finish the F1 series this month, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about that later. But I don't really love Lauren Asher's writing style because it's like she almost gives and then she doesn't. She like pulls away. I do love seeing like emotional connections, and I feel like she does like a pretty decent job at it, but not where I'm like, oh my gosh, this was a 5-star book. So that's my like only problem with her, but she's still like a really good writer. But I didn't love this book, but I didn't hate it. I thought the quotes were good. I thought their connection was great. I did think it was a little rushed. Wow. I did think that this was a little rushed, but it was still really good. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. And then the last physical book that I read this month was Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. 4.5 out of 5. Absolutely freaking love this book. Josh and Jules, enemies to lovers, best friend's brother. Literally, what more could you ask for? So freaking good. I read this in 2 days. 500 pages, read it in 2 days. Yeah, it was a reread, but I freaking fell more in love with this book. So now that we have talked about all the physical books I read this month, I want to get into all of my Kindle reads that I read this month because I read quite a few and I kind of want to talk about them. So the first book that I read on here was Where Good Girls Go to Die. I'm looking at my phone for my notes now because I honestly forgot a lot of these books that I read. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. It includes Livy and Parker. I don't remember if it is Brother's Best Friend. I think that's why I read it, because I was trying to look for Brother's Best Friends like romance books, and this one came up, so I read it. Super quick read. I think I read it in like a day. I thought it was gonna be longer, but it wasn't. It's not very memorable. I just know that he was a tattoo artist and they were like away from each other for a certain amount of years, and now they're back together, and like then they had a connection. I don't know. I didn't like it that much though. So now thinking about it, I would give it like a 2 out of 5. It wasn't that great. I didn't love it. And then I decided from there that I really wanted to finish off the Kingmaker series. So I read all of them. I'm gonna talk about each individual one. So the first one was The Heir. I gave this one a 4 out of 5. It includes Leo and Anna. They are childhood best friends to lovers. I thought they were so cute. He plays basketball, she is like a dancer, and then they both get into the Kingmaker school, which is basically university boarding school for like mafia kids and mafia families. Kind of weird concept. It was really good. Like the setting of it was just super cool, the way that the author described it. I thought it was amazing. So yeah, I gave this one a 4 out of 5. I honestly loved the little love triangle that was going on in here. I was a fan of it, and I'm glad that we got to see Dean's point of view. At first I was like, I hate this, and then I got more into it and I was like, okay, I kind of love this. So the next book in the series is The Rebel, which is Miles Griffin and Zoe's book. Loved it. Literally the way that they fell for each other, and the way that like Miles, I'm pretty sure this one is like guy falls first. I just love the way that like Miles really fought for Zoe, and the whole entire twist in here, amazing. The twist was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I think Miles is my favorite book boyfriend out of this whole entire series. So the fourth book in the series is The Bully. This is Dean and Kat's book. Kat is Zoe's sister from the last book. She now owes Dean a favor, or like she owes him basically, and you figure that out in the last book if you read Miles and Zoe's story. But I love Kat and Dean so much. I thought it was so weird at first, and I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. I don't really like it. But as I got into it, I was like, I really love this. It's basically a bully romance, which I didn't think I was gonna like. I kind of liked it. I thought it was interesting. I was like, okay, it's very different from what I usually read, but I don't hate it. There were parts where they were cringy, okay, but I did love their chemistry. I did love, like, she's super shy. He's not like shy, but he's not like an extrovert. You know, he's kind of like in the middle, but she's like very much a people pleaser. I don't know. They just fit super well. They're like that couple that you didn't think that would go together, but they go really great together. I also did love the character development in this book. I thought it was amazing. No complaints for this book. I thought it was great. So the last book in this series is The Spy. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5. Thought it was great. I don't really want to tell you guys too much about this book, because all the other books kind of set up for this book like it's a whole entire secret, like nobody knows, and just this book was just like a holy crap, what the heck is going on? So just go into it blindly. You guys will figure it out the way that I did, because I was thoroughly confused at first, and then I read it and I was like, this is great. Overall, for the Kingmakers series, I would give that one like a 4.5 out of 5. I did love the Brutal Birthright series just a lot more than this one, but I still thought it was pretty good, you know, like for it being like a spin-off and their kids. I thought it was pretty well written. So the next 2 books are a duology. It is The Confidence of Wildflowers and The Resurrection of Wildflowers. It is an age gap romance. She's 18, I believe. He is 31. It was the one parent trope. It was Grumpy Sunshine. I thought it was amazing. I'm literally in love with these 2 books. They're so freaking great. Literally, I think I started this in series at 10 p.m. and I finished it at 2 a.m. The series was just great. I really did not think I would like the whole entire age gap romance, but I thought it was so good. I really want to read more books like this, because I was thoroughly impressed. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I say Thayer because that's the way it's spelled, and I'm just like, okay, Thayer, because Taylor sounds weird. Salem and Thayer, literally amazing. I freaking loved it. 5 out of 5 for both of these books. They were so freaking great. I loved them so incredibly much. But yeah, I would recommend this duology. I really don't want to say much about it, because it's so incredibly heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same exact time. If the author were to have just left The Confidence of Wildflowers and let that be like the final book and not do like a second book to it, I would have still loved it even then. Like the way that The Confidence of Wildflowers ended was still so good, and then she picked up at The Resurrection of Wildflowers, and I was just like, this tops it all off. Made me cry even more, but it just made it so good. I love these two books. They were great. I love them. And then the last book that I read this month, the last book I read on my Kindle, was Redeemed by Lauren Asher. This is Santi and Chloe's story, and it is the last book in the Dirty Air series by her. I believe that's what it's called. I keep on wanting to call it the F1 series because that's what I refer it to as to my boyfriend, but it is the Dirty Air series. I love this book. I thought it was great. As unrealistic as this whole entire situation was for like Santi and Chloe, like that is not realistic for like the real world at all, but I think that's also what makes it great. I hate it whenever people are like, oh my gosh, it's so realistic, so I hated it. Like, that's the point of books. It's not supposed to be realistic all the time. It's just supposed to be a good fun time. Okay, I really like this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really love the character development in this book. Santi's development was just so great, and then Chloe's story was also amazing, and she came in with her struggles and they worked together. He came in with his struggles and they worked together. Like 3 days after that meeting, they just had such a connection. I freaking loved it. I don't know. I thought they were great. I love this book. I thought it was amazing. But those are all the books I read this month. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry for all the lighting changes that happened. The sun was so kind of like rising, and now that it's moving, I don't know if you guys can like tell, but I can tell. But yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more book content, and subscribe for a lot more that is coming because I have a moving series coming soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Peace out.